Hello there, it's me again, Teacher G. Welcome to my channel. So this time I'll be sharing with you the penalties that we have here in Akadsoc, and at the same time maybe the tips on how to prevent or avoid penalties. As we all know, every ESL company really has its own policy, rules, and regulations to be followed by their tutors. If you are a tutor who would not follow this or obey these rules and policies, of course you will be suffering the consequences. And the consequence that we may be referring to is the penalty. Penalty is really the word that we ESL tutors are scared of. Yeah, you have to remember, we are teaching online to earn, not to pay the penalty. So here in Akadsoc, there are several reasons why tutors get penalized. So let's say the first one there is actually the late for shift clock in. Each tutor should clock in 30 minutes down to 10 minutes before the first class. So for example, if your class will begin at 5:30, you should clock in 5 o'clock to 5:20. If you will clock in 5:21 and your class will start at 5:30, you are already 1 minute late. So if your class will start at 6, you should clock in 5:30 to 5:50. So that's 30 minutes down to 10 minutes before your class. If you clock in late, of course, the penalty will automatically occur, and you will immediately see that in your fee tab or salary tab. You will be penalized 5% of your hourly rate every minute. You have to remember that every minute that you are late. So for example, if your rate is 90 per hour, so let us see, 90 per hour, and you will be penalized 5% per minute. So the 5% of 90 is 450, 4 pesos and 50 cents. So if you were late for 10 minutes, so that 450 will be multiplied to 10. And your penalty is 45 pesos. Imagine, you are only late for 10 minutes with this clock in, and then you will be penalized 50% of your hourly rate. So we have to be very careful, and we should always bear in mind that we have to clock in 30 minutes down to 10 minutes before your first class. The next reason why we got penalized is late for class. In my previous video, I mentioned there that ideally we should enter the classroom 1 or 2 minutes before the class. And that is actually highly recommended. 1 to 2 minutes in advance, we should enter the classroom, because there are so many things that may happen. If you will say, my internet is just fine, it's very, should I say, fast, we don't know. There are times that our portal or the tutor client has something wrong and we cannot immediately enter the classroom. So we have to give time so that we will not be late for our class. If ever we are late, we will be penalized. The tutor will be penalized 2% of the hourly rate for every minute of late. They are all telling every minute. I mean, they're all giving the penalty every minute. So for example, you have your rate is 90 pesos and you are late, you will be penalized 2% of your hourly rate, and 2% of your hourly rate is 1 peso and 80 cents. Let me double check it. 90 times, okay, 2%. 180. However, it is per minute. So if you are late for 5 minutes, perhaps you will multiply this for 5. But I think it has a different penalty if you are late for 5 minutes. I think you will be automatically tagged absent if that is the case. Because when you are late for 5 minutes and your student would call the CS, you will automatically be marked absent. That's already a complaint. So if it is only fine if the student is your regular student and who are really willing to wait for you inside the classroom. However, if it is a new student and they are not that really shall I say, they don't have the time. I mean, they don't like to wait for you. So they might think that you are absent because you're already 5 minutes late. So once they call the CS, you have to expect complaint and of course a penalty. So we have to be very careful. As much as possible, we should enter the classroom a minute or two before the class. Anyway, you can just, switch off your microphone and the camera, and you can just flash or post a picture saying that our class will start in 2 minutes. Our class will start exactly on the time that your class will start for 4:35 or whatever the time will be. And the next one there is leave the class early. We are not really allowed to leave the class early. We have to remember, we are only teaching the class 25 minutes. We should manage that carefully. There are students who are really very smart and you can finish your class within 15 minutes. And sometimes other teachers are having problems how to stretch or what are they going to do just to reach 25 minutes. There are lots of things that we can do to extend the knowledge or to make the time very more valuable. The first thing that you can do is the spelling activity. Let's say, for example, you are having that material. Of course, there are lots of words in that material, right? And we have to accept that the student's really very bright. But maybe they are not that good in spelling. So all you have to do is to identify words from the material, let the student read, and then once you have already identified those words that you want the student to have, you can have the spelling activity after reading those words, spelling activity. If they are really very good at spelling, then you try to let them make a sentence using those words. It would really, make you reach 25 minutes. Sometimes 25 minutes is really not enough if you have lots of activities that would be giving to your students. And they actually love to have more activities. You have to remember that the students, they have their parents with them. We do not see them, but actually they are just sitting beside the student, be it the mother or be it the father. And they are observing us how we handle the class. They are observing us how we give knowledge to the students, how we teach the students. So if they see that you have lots of things or lots of knowledge shared to the kid, for sure they're going to book for your class again, and then you can make the student as your regular student. So that's it. We should never leave the class early. If you leave the class ahead of time, you will be again penalized of 2% of your hourly rate every minute still. So if you are late, 2% of your hourly rate. If you will leave early, you will be penalized also for 2% every minute. I'm not sure if you're going to leave a second or two, let's say 5 seconds, 4, 3, down to 1 second before the time. I'm not sure if they are going to penalize you or deduct a portion from your salary. I am not sure with that. What I'm sure is your TM would immediately call your attention rather. What's the reason why you left the class early? So we have to be mindful. We should not really leave the class early. We should perhaps 5 seconds over 25 minutes. Anyway, it is just a matter of seconds, or even you can dismiss 26 minutes after the, I mean, if you will end supposed to be 11:25, then why don't you have 11:25 and 10 seconds, or 11:26? That would be an additional point for a teacher if you're gonna do that. So that's it. We already have three. The next one is cancellation. So cancellation actually leads to students' disappointment. Yes, and of course, other my TM would say that it can also a reason, or it can also spoil the name of the institution. So the TMs are actually suggesting, if you are not sure with your schedule for that week, you can just perhaps plot a day or 2 days like that, and then just inform the TM the reason why you weren't able to plot the entire week. Maybe because you are not sure that you'll be having an activity on those days, so they would really understand it. And well, basically, most of us are really giving or plotting the schedule a week before. And the main reason why do tutors cancel is that power interruption, the network, the internet connection. So if there is a power interruption, we should really actually invest. Others would buy generators, but in my case, I only use an inverter. This one. This is how the inverter looks like. Yeah. And these are the clip that are attached to the car battery. Yeah, I'm just only using this. So if I'm going to clip this to the car battery, this will be the one that would regulate the current. And here in this side, it is where we plug our extension cord. And of course, we will have the laptop, the modem, and electric fan plug in the extension cord, because we only have one port here, so we need an extension. Yeah, that's it. I actually experienced to use this for 4 hours. There was a total blackout in my place, and I supposed to have a 5 hours class, I think. Yeah, 5 hours. And then I am going to start the class, yet there is no electricity. So what I did, I used this one. And yeah, I finished the 4 hours, and the last 1 hour, there was already an electric power during that time. And this is actually only 500 watts. 500 watts. So what I am having, I mean, what are the equipment that I use with this 500 watts inverter? I use my laptop, my modem, and an electric fan. Well, my lamp is just attached with my laptop and my little fan. So that's it. Actually, the bigger the wattage, the better. So there are also wattage. There is 100. There is 750, 1000, 1005, like that. Yeah, but mine is only 500, and yeah, it can cater my needs. That's it. So we have to invest so that if there is a power interruption, we can still continue our class. And for the internet connection, we cannot really avoid. There are times that, be it PLTT, be it Smart or Globe or any other provider, there are really times that you're gonna lost you lost your internet connection. So we have also to be prepared with that. Actually, I have my Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi. Then I also have my data in my cell phone. If ever my modem will not function correctly, so I can switch my connection with the Wi-Fi or with my data. It is really very, shall I say, it hurts to cancel classes because there are corresponding amount in every cancellation that the tutor would do. For example, if you are not going to if you're going to cancel your class 3 hours before the time, you will be penalized 3 times of your lesson fee. So for example, your hourly rate is 90 pesos, your lesson fee is 45. So if you're going to cancel the class 3 hours or less before the time, that 45 pesos multiplied by 3, okay, 45 times 3, you will be penalized 105. And aside from that, there is a teaching point deduction. 2 points will be deducted from your teaching points. So imagine the money and the teaching points. And if you are going to cancel your class 24 hours to 3 hours before, the first one is less than 3 hours before your class time, your penalty will be 100% of your lesson fee. So you'll be deducted 45 pesos because your hourly rate is 90 pesos. And of course, you will also be deducted 2 teaching points. And if you're going to cancel 48 hours before the class, 24 hours before the class, you will be penalized of 50% lesson fee. So 50% of your lesson fee, 45 pesos. 50% of 45 pesos divided by 2, 22.50. Yes, 22.50. And if ever you're going to cancel your class 72 hours before the class, or more than 48 hours for the class, your penalty will be 25% of your lesson fee. So 25% of 45 pesos is 11.25. So the longer the time that you're going to, the time allowance really matters in the penalty that will be deducted from your salary. But if we can have this inverter with how should I say that, with a car battery, you can have your class. And if there is an internet connection problem, then have the Wi-Fi. We should always be very ready. We should always ready and equipped so that we can still continue our classes even we don't have this electric power and there is a problem with the internet connection. So, and then if you will be absent, that is also one of the reasons why we have the penalty, absences. If you will be absent, you will also be penalized 3 times of your lesson fee for each absent class. For each absent class. So imagine 3 times of your lesson fee only for 25 minutes. It really matters. That is for absent. So basically, we commit absences if we cannot enter the classroom immediately. So if we cannot enter the classroom, because as what I have said, we should enter the classroom a minute or 2 minutes before the class. And if we cannot enter, we should secure a screenshot of our speed test, the picture of the classroom where you cannot enter, and of course your portal, the class table, wherein in the class table the name, the student ID and the time of your class is visible. So these three seen should be seen in your screenshot. That is the valid screenshot because you're going to click CS. If you cannot enter the classroom, you should click CS. You cannot enter the classroom, and then you have to upload that screenshot that you have, so that the CS will automatically cancel the class and it will be tagged as uh, system error, rather than penalty because of absence, because the teacher is absent. So we have to really be mindful, and we should know what are we going to do so that we will not be penalized if we cannot enter the classroom. There are some teachers who would really be penalized because once they cannot enter the classroom, they all felt nervous. We should not be like that. Presence of mind is really necessary. If you cannot enter the classroom, immediately get the speed test. Then that tab that where you cannot enter with the portal and the screenshot. I mean with the speed test. Then secure a screenshot. Click the CS and upload the screenshot. And that's it. And then of course we also have the complaint. For each valid complaint, there will be a penalty of 50% of your hourly rate, one class fee. 50% of your hourly rate, equivalent to one class fee. So as what I've said, if your hourly rate is 90, you will penalize of 45 pesos. And in each cut off for the first valid complaint, there will be a penalty of 50% of the hourly rate. And the second, in what cutoff, if you have multiple complaint, the second complaint will be 100% of your hourly rate. And the third complaint and beyond, that will be 200% of your hourly rate. What are the reasons why we receive complaints? In my previous videos, I identified therefore late, leave early, noise environment, the teacher is not concentrating with the lesson. Well, there are still so many things that we can do so that we can avoid complaints, and I have discussed that in the previous lesson. Anyway, if we have our class, I think doing our best that would satisfy the needs of our students as well as the parents, and I think there will be no complaints if that's the case. Maybe there are some parents who are not, they have the complaint even you are not doing bad. So if that is the case, we can just secure the screenshot, or we can request that our TM to review the video and for them to invalidate the complaint. If you are right, you can fight for it. I have experienced so many, I mean, it's not really so many, only few complaints. But usually my complaints are internet connection. Yeah, internet connection, I think. That's the only complaint that I got. Internet connection. However, it was invalidated because there was a problem with my internet provider. It was invalidated. And we also have to be good to our TM so that every time that we have a complaint, we can communicate with them and we can express ourselves, and we can also ask their help to invalidate the complaint of the student. So all complaints from students QA CS will be verified first by the complaint department and then processed by the DS or the TM that we say. So if the tutors have concerns about the complaints, we should present a valid proof to our TMs or DS, direct supervisor, so that our TM can investigate, and if they think that we are right, they can invalidate the complaint. Actually, here in Agatsa, we can say screenshot is life. Every time that what we do, we should always secure a screenshot. Even in the clock in, I do secure a screenshot by the time that I click clock in. I experienced there was maybe it's a system glitch. I was tabbed late and there was already a deduction from my salary tab. But I talked to my TM. No, I was not late. And then she asked me, how can you prove that you were not late? Then I sent her my screenshot. So screenshot is really very important, and that would screenshot is live, as what I've said. And also the CS, I also once received a complaint from CS. I was wondering, there was a class that I just conducted, and then when I opened it again, it was already locked. So I asked my supervisor how come that it was locked, and she said there was a complaint filed by CS because, as what the CS said, there was a complaint from the student because I conducted a wrong material. I was really, I was really fighting for my right because I am sure with myself that I did not conduct the wrong class. I conducted the right material rather with that student. So I asked my TM, and she asked me rather to what is your proof. So I sent her my proof, and those are the screenshots. I took the screenshot of the lesson material of the student. I took the screenshot of the class table, and I also took the screenshot when I enter the classroom where you can see the lesson material. So it was proven that the lesson that I had was really correct. And then my CS asked when my supervisor asked the CS admitted that it was supposed to be the complaint was supposed to be intended for another teacher and not for me. So the points was returned, the deduction was cancelled, and the pub was given to me in the next cut-off. See? So we have to remember, screenshot is live. Okay? So I think that's all for this penalty and perhaps the tips on how to avoid the penalties. I hope it would help you, and next time I will share with you maybe the bonuses. So this is all for now for this video. See you again in the next video.